All right, hello and welcome everybody, and thank you again for joining us. This is the second class of our Cryptos for Ding Dong series, and I'm going to cover just a few news events and just to give you an idea as to maybe what to expect. And this is based on the CME futures and the possibility of, as far as the monthly expirations, what the market is expecting for the price of Bitcoin. There's a individual named George that has a YouTube channel called Cryptos Are Us. He did a video just a couple of days ago, and let me actually. It's this video here, Bitcoin off to the best start since 2013. And if you look on this particular, if you can see it on this particular screen, it has a chart of all the years that Bitcoin has been trading and available for trade, beginning with August of 2010. And it has the percentages of the drops and also the increases that Bitcoin gained in those particular months. Well, the CME futures for last month, which just expired, they were projecting a price of Bitcoin for $44,000 at the end of the month. And the reason being is because if you look here at this particular line in March, you'll see that most of the months for March, we have negative decline in the price of Bitcoin. There's only been, out of the 11 years, 3 that are positive, and 1 was just barely positive. And so everybody expected the price of Bitcoin to drop for that particular month. And so the options were actually predicting a price of 44,000. Well, if you look at the price for April and the percentage gains, you'll see that April is mostly a positive month for the price of Bitcoin. And that since 2016, we had an 8.2% increase. 2017, 27.8% increase. 2018, a 33.3% increase. 2019, a 28.6% increase. And in 2020, a 34.5% increase. And so April is a pretty bullish month, usually, with regard to the historical price action of Bitcoin. And so people expect it to rise over the course of this month. And the CME futures actually are predicting a price of $80,000 for Bitcoin trending towards the end of this month. And even though historically March is a terrible year for Bitcoin, this year, even with the recent drop down to 50,000 from a high of 62,000, we had a nice correction there. But the trend is still upwards. It's still a bull market, and now that we've had this price correction and consolidation, again, people are expecting the price of Bitcoin to go up. And not only that, but the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, the stochastic indicator, the MACD, all of them have recently called the bottom of Bitcoin as far as it cooling off and everybody, really panicking, and a lot of people selling their Bitcoin, and the price reaching all the way down to 50,300, I think it was. Let me actually check that here. That we 50,427 was the low. And since that time, we have been trending upward, and we're currently at 56,026. And so already you can see that, Bitcoin has been gaining and increasing. And hopefully, if we can break out of this trend, because you see that this has been a downward trend, and if I could actually draw on the chart, you'll see that we're creating this bull flag. And then once we have the breakout, the momentum should be to the upside. And so, you know, yeah, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But just studying and looking at the historical trend and what the CME futures and what institutional money, because a lot of people have been buying this dip. And, already we've gained $5,000, $6,000 since that low just a few days ago. I mean, this was like 3 days ago. And so hopefully the price of Bitcoin will follow in its historical as far as the basis and what it's done in years past, and it will also increase in value. So I wanted to, because a lot of you are part of Coinbase and only have that platform to purchase and to buy your crypto. Well, what I wanted to show you is that you have access to what is called Coinbase Pro, and it's your exact password, whatever you have set up, your email that you use for Coinbase, it's all the same. And not a lot of you know about this platform, but as far as trading, this website can really help you, especially if you already have Bitcoin or Ethereum, and it's really easy to transfer your coins. You just hit deposit. You pick whichever coin, it is that you want to move over into Coinbase Pro. And the fees are moderate, I'd say. It's going to cost you about $2 to $3 to make a particular trade on this platform, which is a lot more expensive than if you were to transfer your Bitcoin to either Binance or KuCoin or some other exchange. But still, for those of you that are just getting into trading or getting into monitoring the market and learning about it, you can really utilize this market. You see right here where it says market, sell, or buy. You have a limit order and then a stop limit order. Well, if you do a limit order, it used to be that your trade would be for free. But still, using a limit order is a lot cheaper. Doing a market order, it's going to cost you, $7 to $10, depending on how much you purchase or sell, and per transaction. And also know that when you are buying or selling, trading, if you increase and you profit off that particular trade, that is considered capital gains, and you do have to report those things to the IRS. And Coinbase, they, when you sign up with them, they have the KYC, where the know your customer, all that information. They require you to upload your driver's license and your bank account or debit card, that information, in order to be able to purchase with fiat. And so, even though the IRS and the government is still lagging and way behind when it comes to taxes, still it is a possibility that, and especially recently, the IRS is auditing, and especially for people that utilize Coinbase a lot, um, they are auditing and getting their records and seeing, especially people that have millions of dollars that are moving in and out of crypto. Um, they are examining the records for tax purposes. If you are, just someone that only has a few $100s or a few $1,000 or even, probably less than $10,000, as long as you're not buying and selling and trading, you know, every day, you're not a day trader, you shouldn't have anything to worry about because buying and holding is, and dollar cost averaging in, that's the wisest, in my opinion, the best way um, to take part in this market because you don't have to worry about all of the trades providing your information. If Coinbase does, provides your information to the IRS or whatever, it's only for purchasing and getting into the market, but not actually making multiple trades. However, if you want to utilize a strategy to where you're selling when you know and you feel that the market is high, then you can take advantage of doing, for instance, you can set a sell depending on how much Bitcoin you have in. You can select the amount of Bitcoin and you can set the price. Like, for instance, we got, all-time highs was 62,000. So I could set an order here, a limit order, and it's only costing me 33 cents because I don't have a lot of Bitcoin in this Coinbase Pro. I don't use this platform for trading. I'd rather do it on Binance or KuCoin because your fees are so much more minimal. And if you are on the Binance exchange, you're holding the Binance coin, it will actually utilize that coin and give you a very, you know, a big discount for trading and holding that coin. Same thing with KuCoin if you have KCS, which is the token that is available on that platform. But just to show you, again, because it doesn't matter, however much Bitcoin or it's all these different cryptos which you can find on the Coinbase. And as I said, it's very easy to transfer it to your Coinbase Pro. You just pick whatever crypto you have over there. It'll actually tell you. Let me see. I know I have some sushi over there. And so if I wanted to, looking at the sushi chart, and you can see that sushi's only been available on Coinbase for a very short time. But if I wanted to deposit it, I could just deposit, search for that coin, and then bring it over from Coinbase. And then I could actively trade it in here. But I'm just going to show you how to set, orders to where, again, for those of you that are keeping more of a closer tab on the markets, and and you're able to utilize those indicators like the Bitcoin fear and greed, which we should go ahead and check that just to see where it is. I'm expecting it to be definitely not real high because we have had a cool down period. But this is a great indicator to keep up with. Even though we are in greed territory, usually from the 70s to moving up into the 90s, that's when Bitcoin really has a tendency to run. And you can see just yesterday we were at 65. So last month we were at 55. So we're really just now starting to um, begin the momentum towards the upside. It was, let me go ahead and actually check down here. It was just on the 26th of March that the crypto fear and greed index was 54. And then you can see that on the 1st of March, it was a 38. So that was, when the indicator is in red and everybody's panicking, everybody's selling, that's actually the best time to buy. And, usually you want to take advantage of those particular moments and get into the market at that time. But, no, Marley. No, Marley. Sorry, my cat wants to get on my lap. No, Marley. Stay there, buddy. I'll get you afterwards. Daddy's trying to teach. Be a good boy. All right. And so this is a great indicator for people to keep up with, to get a pulse of where we are in the cycle of, the momentum going up and the momentum going down. And you can see that from the 1st of March, the momentum has been going upwards and a little bit sideways. And then we just recently had that sell-off, which brought it back down to 54. And as I said, that's, you want to be buying when the market is in the red or in these yellows. Those are great times to be buying. And now the momentum is shifting upward. We're starting to move. And, Bitcoin has a tendency that once it starts reaching into the green, it can stay there for a very long time. And especially from December to February of this past year, let me actually check that. We had a period here from December 31st. You can see that we stayed in the 90s and the market was charging. We moved around that time. We had been moving up. Let me actually pull up for a whole year. This was when we had the very beginning of what was the momentum upwards. And everything after the Corona dump, which was way over here in March, you could see that the market was at its lowest. It was a 10, which was, everybody was fearing and everybody was scared and everybody was selling everything. I mean, all the commodities, stocks, bonds, crypto, everything was selling off. And that would have been the best time to buy because Bitcoin was, $3,000-$4,000. And at that time, it started to come up, started to increase in value. Then we got up here into the 70s. We had a correction, and then we actually, right here in November, we made it up to 82, and then we stayed above the 90s till January. So from November to January, we were in those high 90 regions, and the price of Bitcoin, let me pull it up weekly here. This was 1213. So let me just go back November. Here, this is November the 22nd. So you can see that the price of Bitcoin started to exponentially move upwards. And once we broke that 12,000 region, everybody was expecting a price correction. And especially when we broke all-time highs, which we began this show actually on this date. Well, it was the 16th of December, but this is the 13th of December when Bitcoin started reaching and creeping up to all-time highs. And we actually broke this on December 16th and went above what was 19,900 that we see here. It went to 20,079. And so we broke all-time highs. And then you see, even after that, how much Bitcoin came up and how quickly. From the time of December the 20th to March the 7th, Bitcoin went all the way up to 61,844. So, I mean, that's a lot of gains. And it's only been since that time that we've retraced. We've had a couple of downward consolidating weeks, but still we are above a lot of the EMAs, and the price of Bitcoin having this breather, it now, in my opinion, is ready to run again, and we could see further upside and a test of what are the all-time highs from before. And again, you know, from here to here on the crypto fear and greed index, we were, you know, above the 90s and stayed above the 90s. And then we had the correction, a dump down to 40, which would have been, again, a great place to buy. Anytime you see the crypto fear and greed index go down to these low levels, you should be buying in. You should use those opportunities. And since we are in a bull market right now, you want to always buy the dips until the trend reverses, and then you want to sell the tops. But we're not in that trend. We're not in a bear market right now. We're in a bull market, and the trend is upwards. And so people should be taking advantage of those dips and purchasing when the price is lower, so that you can get a good entry, and then you can, Marley, no. Marley. Oh my goodness. Come here, buddy. Okay, sorry everybody. Marley.
That was a great first lesson. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yes.
Okay, we did have a
Yes.
couple questions if you had, wanted to
Okay,
take some.
great. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
All right. The first one came from Diane Ashdown. Zen, do you use BlockFi? And if so, can you do a show on it?
I do have access to BlockFi, but I don't have anything in there. And the reason I don't have anything in BlockFi currently is because the platform is undergoing struggle. And when I say undergoing struggle, they were actually taking the Bitcoin that people were depositing into their accounts, and they were putting it in the Grayscale Trust and selling that Bitcoin at a premium. And because they were able to do that for a good while, and there was a bigger premium on them depositing their Bitcoin, and then they were selling it for 15, even 25% over what was the regular price of Bitcoin, they were able to offer high interest. The way that Celsius also is, high, offering high interest. But right now, the premium on the GBTC, which is the Grayscale Trust on Bitcoin, is minus 15%. And so what you'll notice about BlockFi is they just scaled back the percentage of interest that they're paying on the crypto that people are holding on their platform. And so, because also they are losing at 15%, a rate of 15% on the premium of Bitcoin, they're not even making right now the interest that they owe on the Bitcoin that everybody has entrusted with them. And so, if they don't figure out a model to really earn some money and to be able to keep up with the interest that they promise to their users, they're gonna end up in trouble. And so I don't have any money on BlockFi right now, and I actually recommend that people, start to withdraw to ensure that your money doesn't disappear and you aren't one of those that at some point ends up not being able to get back your money. Now, as a platform, I love BlockFi because when you sell your Bitcoin, and back then you were able to earn, 5-6% interest, and then you went into U.S. dollar coin or the other stable coins like DAI or U.S. Tether, USDT, you would then begin to start earning 12 to 13%, which is the amount of interest that they promised to those that were holding that particular currency on their platform. And so it was a win-win. While you were trading Bitcoin, and again, I'll go back here to, for instance, if you were, you bought Bitcoin down here, and you're holding Bitcoin, you're earning that 6% while you are holding Bitcoin in the platform, and over this period of time, and then Bitcoin reaches these levels, and as it reaches these levels, you'll see that on the crypto fear and greed index as well, that Bitcoin was at an all-time high. Let's see. This was 12, 13, 21. So right, oh, that's 2020. So about, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about, 12, 13, 2020. So it was right about here that, Bitcoin reached that 60,000 all-time highs, and then it started to correct. So if you would have sold up here on BlockFi, they would have put you in the US dollar coin or a US dollar tether or DAI, and then you would have started earning 13% interest on having that stable coin. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to exchange it, move it, stake it, anything. And so, I thought, and I still do think that that model is awesome. But currently, as I said, because BlockFi is in a crisis, um, I'm not using their platform. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should probably look up BlockFi and the Grayscale Trust. Let me see if I can find anything on that. See if anything comes up. Yeah, here. BlockFi facing solvency issues due to their exposure to the Bitcoin trust. And as I said, everything was working fine for them as long as Grayscale, they were able to get a premium, sometimes over 25%. But now that it is selling at a discount, they're not getting that percentage. They're not able to offer that percentage of interest to their customers, and they're facing an insolvency problem. And so, they're in serious trouble right now, and not a lot of people know about it or understand it. And because Grayscale, they're Bitcoin, they're not making money off of Bitcoin. What they're doing is they're actually starting to shift into, and to develop other trusts. Like there was another news article about how added 5 different coins. And the price of all of those coins really took off. Um, yeah, let's just look at these. One of them was Filecoin, the other one was Basic Attention Coin, BAT, which is connected to the Brave browser, Chainlink, and there was a couple of other ones as well. But these coins really took off in value. For instance, Filecoin, if you look at that particular token, let's see. This is the chart on Filecoin. And so you can see this was before the announcement and how much it increased in value. It literally went from, which I recommended this coin too. This one and the Graph are really good coins because they help blockchain to utilize data. And so this one went from 92 to an all-time high of 139 just a little while ago, and it's currently at 124. But anyway, so that's the whole thing with BlockFi, and you want to really be careful right now, because if you have a lot of money in there, as I said, you may want to start scaling back, move your crypto to other platforms while you still have access, because it's like a bank, both BlockFi and Celsius, they're like cryptocurrency banks, and they are utilizing the deposits of their customers to earn interest, to put that out to the Grayscale Trust. And Celsius is not in trouble because they only have like less than 0.1% of their funds go to Grayscale, and so they weren't depending on Grayscale and that high premium as a way to earn interest. They've been in business for over 6 years, and they lend money to large institutions, and because of that, are able to offer the amount of interest they pay to their patrons. And so you see that Mana, that was another one of the currencies that increased greatly. Chainlink, which I like Chainlink anyways. But these are the BlockFi, because they're not moving and making money off of Bitcoin, they're moving to other coins. And you'll see it says here, we may soon see trust for Aave, Cosmos, Polkadot, Monero, and Cardano, which, those might be really good coins to invest in now before that move upwards. Which I like Cosmos, Polkadot, and Cardano anyways. Cosmos pays 4.53% interest just on Coinbase and holding it on Coinbase. But Cardano went from like $1.03 to $1.43, and that happened because it was also giving a listing on Coinbase. And a lot of tokens that when they first are and have and make appearance on Coinbase, they increase exponentially. And so, um, Cardano is now available for purchase through Coinbase, and because of that, the price has, increased. And because it is a blockchain like Polkadot, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, I think it will do really well. But yeah, other questions, Justin?
Yep, we did have a couple other questions. Diane said thank you for that. Pale Rider said,
Welcome.
should we be really walking ourselves into the beast system?
Well, we are living in the beast system. We live in the matrix. We're born into the matrix. This world is under the control of Satan and the prince of the powers of the air and Legion. And, even Yeshua told us that my kingdom is not of this world. And it won't be until Christ returns in second advent that the harvest is settled, and the wheat and the tares separated, the goat and the sheep, and those that are numbered with the elect are allowed to enter into the Sabbath rest of the millennial age. But because we do live here in this world, and you have to keep a foot in both the spiritual world and also in the the world, as far as the economic system that requires you to make money and to earn money in order to pay your bills and to feed yourself and your children. um, you should utilize whatever you can to get ahead, to take advantage of the same things that those that know how to play the system. And the system was most certainly set up for people that have money or that know how to utilize their money to earn more money. And using your money to invest rather than to spend and overspend, and to be able, to live beyond your means, that's a much wiser way to be when you're caught up in this matrix. And you are, forced. We're all forced. We're born into the system. We have to live in it. You have to earn money in order, again, to feed yourself and your children and your families. To be able to purchase, everything costs. Everything costs. Even if you're living off grid, you have to eat. You have to keep yourself warm, um, and you have to have shelter, and all those things. Even if you're really good and you've established yourself off grid, it's still, you have needs. And those that are able to live without money, God bless them. And especially if they've established a sustainable farm to where they can do that, I think that's the most incredible thing. But myself, with my disability, I'm not able to do that. And so I've had to learn other ways to take care of myself and to take care of my needs and to live within the system, because I am dependent upon it, with the way that my way of being. And I think a lot of people are also in that same situation, to where there's a lot of people, with post-traumatic stress, or veterans with post-traumatic stress, that have been injured in wars, or people with disabilities, or whatever. There's a lot of people that are dependent on government that don't make a lot of money, that receive a monthly check, whether it's a Social Security or SSDI. And I'm just helping and teaching people how they can put their money to work for them. And yes, I think it's smart to be able to utilize the techniques and the platforms that are available to us to, again, take our power back with regard to our earning potential and also our investment potential. That, the whole thought process of this culture is to teach you to overspend, to use more than what you have coming in, and to not use what even you do have coming in to your best advantage, and to actually make money off of um, your what you earn, instead of putting it in a bank where you're not even getting paid 1% interest, and the banks are loaning out your money and making money at high rates. And so take back your power and use your money to your own benefit. And you can do that by utilizing, the crypto platforms, as I have been showing. And if you're one of those that thinks, that cryptocurrencies, or that cryptos are the mark of the beast, well, you don't have to use it. You can keep yourself free from it, but don't place judgment on the rest of us that do. If you choose not to, that's your own choice, and you are welcome to have your own opinion. But I think that cryptocurrencies and the platform that were provided can help level the playing field for a lot of people that don't have a lot of money coming in, and don't have the potential to earn interest, even 1% on their money. And that the most important thing, again, to do, in my opinion, is to limit what you are spending, and to get yourself out of debt, to not overspend, and to not borrow to live beyond your means. And that if you can do that, and then you can start putting money away, even if you're putting just 5, 10, $15 a month into cryptocurrencies, you have the potential to, as I've shown over the course of this show and this program, sometimes you can make 80% on your money in a single day, depending on which cryptocurrency you decide to invest in or holding over time. As I said, this year, or the past year, Bitcoin went from 4,000 to 62,000. That's pretty nice gain. Any other questions?
Yeah, Diane said, then what crypto YouTubers do you subscribe to, and can you put links in?
Yes, I can. I'll show you just by going on YouTube here. I like this guy, Cryptos Are Us. His name is George. He's a pretty funny guy. And I'm not going to give you a lot because I don't want to overwhelm you. But I think that if you were to listen to just these 5 shows, that they would greatly benefit you. There's another one. Actually, let me just start a new YouTube here. Crypto Banter. I think these guys, it's run by Crypto Man Ran. That these guys are on the forefront. He has the best guests. He was one of the ones that had a show actually through CNBC, and that all the people that they bring on board and that they do shows with every 10 a.m. Through the week, these guys are giving you gems like cryptos, and speaking about ones that if you were to even put a little bit of money in, they have a whole chart of their calls, which, coins have 10x, 100x even, some even more than that. And so they tell you about those. They try to give you tips on those that have not yet exploded in price, so that in getting into them, you can often, increase, like I said, 80% in one day, even if you have your timing correct. And so they're telling you about these. And of course, all this is with risk. And so you don't want to just put everything in, because they've been wrong, but they are largely right. And I also find that this show, Crypto Banter, they influence the price of the coins that they talk about, because they have a huge community a lot of smart investors follow this show, and they also talk about, the kind of portfolio you should have set up if you only had $1,000. He talks about what he is holding in. He has a bag of hodl, what he calls hodl, which means hold on for dear life, and he never sells these coins. And those coins are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, and also Elrond. And these are huge, you know, um, blockchain networks that aren't going to disappear even in a bear market. And they've exponentially gained. Even Polkadot has gone up, in one of the ones that I liked and also recommended. Not financial advice, just what I would do myself. But it's gained 7x. It went from $4 to over 30. It's almost $40 it hit at one point, which that's a 10x. And so, anyway, so crypto banter is another good one. If you're wanting to learn how to trade, there's two guys I recommend. One is Carl the Moon. And this guy, he always following the charts and interpreting them, he provides you with enough information that if you're just following his calls and making your buys and your sells, or shorting or longing the market, just Bitcoin, because that's the one that he's usually focused on. A lot of people are making a lot of money just by following this one individual. He tells you when to go in, what the target is to either sell, or if you're shorting, to sell and cover your short, or in going long, to take profit. And so this guy, Carl the Moon, he's really good. He's also a really good guy. He's been actually, because his community and his followers, they've been making a lot of money. He's been asking and doing it himself. He's been giving money to charities, and to especially children's charities that take care of people that, children that have diseases or disabilities or whatever. And so he's a really good guy in that manner as well. He's not even, in my mind, he's not even, not doing it out of his faith or belief in Christianity. He doesn't profess or speak of any of that. I don't know if he is or not, but the fact that he does give back, I think, really shows what kind of character and what kind of disposition he holds. So this particular guy, Carl the Moon. There's another one. This guy is probably one of the best chartists in the world, and he even has and shows you his. He's got $1 million trades open, and he's made, like, I don't know, $5 to $10 million this year just trading Bitcoin. And so he's pretty accurate with his charts and with his price predictions. And like Carl, if you follow him and get in when he tells you to get in and get out when he tells you to get out, that you can also make money. And that a lot of people that follow his show, they do. They do pretty well. And so this guy, Crypto. And the other one that I recommend is Elio Trades. This guy, he's the one that started Super Farm, and they're involved with NFTs. But he brings you information about a lot of really small projects and a lot of really small coins that nobody else is talking about, and gives you those tokens, and tells people to get into them before they have even begun their move upwards. And so he's really good for getting you into those smaller projects, which most people have not heard about and do not know about. Um, and so you can benefit that way. Which the crypto banter people, they believe that you should have, 60% of your money into what are called the HODL, those that you never sell and you're just holding on for dear life. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, Elrond, and then you have um, a small portion which is looking for these really 10x or even 100x gems, and that you should only have a small portion of your portfolio in these, and that when you do purchase these coins and you really gain, if you gain like 2x, if you double your money, that you should go ahead and take your initial investment out and put that money into, you could put it into another speculative asset, and also put some of your profits, your gains into what is that HODL. And he also recommends holding US dollar coin or US dollar tether, to always have a portion of your portfolio in cash or what are the stable coins, so that if there is a price correction, if the market does dip or drop, that you're then able to utilize that cash to buy in at lower rates. And in that way, really benefit and increase your, because you always want to try to increase your Bitcoin as far as the amount, the percentage of your holdings. And even though you're taking some of your profits in US dollar coin, that's only to take advantage of the market when it dips. And the market's always going to go up or down. And so, um, that's another really smart thing to do. And, I didn't finish, but I'll go ahead and finish your questions, and then I'll finish the show by showing people how to take advantage of being able to do that, even just on Coinbase Pro. Justin?
Elizabeth said, "Do you know who Michael Saylor is, or
I
do you
do.
follow him?"
Yes, I don't, follow him in regard to listening to every show he puts out, because he has been recently on a lot of programs and he's been doing a lot of shows. And for those that don't know who Michael Saylor is, he is the CEO for MicroStrategy. And Michael Saylor and his group, back in March, after the crash, and after people started to sell all their assets, they realized that with inflation and with the way that the dollar was being printed, the hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars in cash that his company was holding, that they were losing value in being in and holding the US dollar. So they brought together and began to look at and to investigate other assets, and specifically Bitcoin was brought to their attention. And they decided that because Bitcoin has a history of gaining in value and is the number one performing asset in the world over the time of its life, and now even has over $1 trillion market cap just in Bitcoin, that they were going to put their holdings and the money that they had into Bitcoin. And so they started buying Bitcoin when it was $19,000, and they've been putting a lot of money. And not only that, that once they were holding the Bitcoin, they were able to gain low interest loans, like less than 1%, off of their Bitcoin holdings. And they were using that capital to also buy more Bitcoin. And so as they increased their gains, increased their holdings of Bitcoin, not only has the value gone up to where, their initial investment has tripled when Bitcoin was like $60,000 a coin, They made more money off of investing in Bitcoin than they did over the last 2, 3 years as a company. And they are earning, they've earned several $100 million as a company in doing um, their technology is security, cybersecurity, and things of that nature. And so um, that he has since that time utilized that strategy and also helped other companies. Like he was the one that encouraged Elon Musk to also get involved in Bitcoin. And he held a conference this past February, and I told everybody about that the price of Bitcoin was going to increase afterwards. At that time, Bitcoin was like 35,000, and I told people that because of the flood of institutional money that was about to enter into the market, that the price of Bitcoin was going to increase. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what it did. And even Elon Musk, we saw that his purchase of Bitcoin drove the price up just in that time, like $6,000. And that he's already himself in profit as well off of his initial investment. I think he got in when it was like 48, 49,000, sometimes somewhere in the 40s. And because of the price of Bitcoin now, that decision has already made him a lot of money. And because of that, and because Michael Saylor made his playbook for how to purchase Bitcoin and to legally hold it and to be a custodian of it, many companies now are deciding and trying to put in 1 to 5% of their portfolios into Bitcoin just to test the waters. And because of that, because there's many companies out there, even just Apple, that hold millions and even billions of dollars in cash, in in their in their inventory, in their on their books, but they're losing money, and that money is being devalued because of the way that the government is printing money. Like just one last year, the money supply was inflated over 25% just in 1 year, which means that the value of the dollar depreciated by 25% because of all the dollars they were printing. And that cycle is going to continue. Um, they're already speaking about, the Democrats and Biden are speaking about creating another $3 trillion stimulus. And so the printing presses are going to be nonstop. And those people that are wise and smart and realizing that they have to take steps to counter these measures, like Michael Saylor, they are pouring their money into Bitcoin. And that's only benefiting those of us that are, the retail investors. And you have to realize also that it's still less than 1% of the entire world's population that even knows what Bitcoin is and that is even involved in and holds or has or even knows how to purchase cryptocurrencies. And so we are the early adopters. We're way ahead of the game. Another thing that you're recognizing and that people can read about what's going on with Bitcoin is that the institutions are buying up what is the liquidity available on these exchanges. And that pretty soon, a lot of these exchanges may not even have any liquidity, which, because there's not going to be any Bitcoin available to supply the purchases and of all those that are wanting to get into Bitcoin. At that point, the price is going to be driven up exponentially anyways. And then the other thing with regard to Bitcoin that a lot of people don't understand is that there is a finite supply. There is a 21 million cap on the amount of Bitcoin that's going to be available for trade in the world. Meaning that um, at some point there will no longer be any more Bitcoin, new Bitcoin being mined. And because of that, um, all those that are not yet in Bitcoin, and all the companies and all the corporations and all of the governments that are going to start to FOMO in and wanting to purchase Bitcoin, they're going to have to uh, fight for what is available, which is again already not a lot. And and so once that cap is reached and more people start getting into and wanting to buy Bitcoin, there's simply not enough of it to go around. And and so the price then is going to really, there some people are talking about even at the end of this year, like even at the end of this next month here in April, the target by the CME futures is 80,000. By year's end, they're talking between 100 to 300,000 per Bitcoin. And even, yeah, years ago, those prices seemed so extravagant that it was unbelievable. Even 50,000 as a target, which some people did predict, a $50,000 Bitcoin by year's end last year. And when we were at 10,000, it seems implausible that we would ever reach that point. And yet we did. And we even made it to 62,000 as an all-time high. And so 100,000, some people even say that Bitcoin could be $1 million a coin 5 years down the road. I could totally see how that could happen, and that those what seem to be outrageous calls on the price of Bitcoin, that they seem within reach, and it seems very plausible. Other questions?
Yeah, we have plenty more questions, but I want to make sure that you get to present everything that you wanted to before the end of the class.
Okay, well, let me just show people what I'm talking about as far as taking advantage. And this would only take me a couple of minutes. And so, if the price of Bitcoin, we see that right now it's at 55,500. If you wanted to sell your Bitcoin when it reaches all-time highs again at 61,000, you can simply set a sell order here. You whatever amount of Bitcoin you want to sell, you set the price. I'll just put 62,000. And you have a limit order. So the Coinbase Pro, the trader, it will only sell your Bitcoin when it reaches that level. And when you place your sell order, it will put it here. And it will only execute it when you reach that level. Until it reaches that level, you don't have to worry about anything. And it's not going to actually take place. So when the price of Bitcoin actually reaches up here at 60-some thousand, it will then sell and put me into cash. And so when I'm in cash, like this is the US dollar tether, or the US dollar coin, then I can just simply wait for the market to go back down. And when the market goes back down, I can set a buy order in the same way that I set a sell order. And I don't have any cash to actually execute this trade, but if I had some cash, I could put, however much money I wanted to spend on the trade, and then I could set the actual, like if Bitcoin went back down to 50,000, then I could put this buy order in, and then, once it reaches down here at 50,000 again, which is our short-term low, then it will buy Bitcoin at that price. And so um, these orders will only be executed when Bitcoin reaches those levels. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you could be asleep. In fact, a lot of times, I do set buy or sell orders at extremely high or very extremely low levels. And sometimes, when the market is volatile, you'll have this one huge wick down. Like, for instance, right here, um, that the price of Bitcoin on this dump, it went down to 54,614, even though it settled at 56,000. And so if you would have had a buy order there at the bottom of that wick, you would have made an instant $2,000 on your Bitcoin. And so it's good to have, again, cash on the side to set buy orders at extremely low levels, or, sell orders at extremely high levels, because you just never know what's going to happen in the market. And so that's one way for people to take advantage. You can set these buy and sell limit orders, so that you take advantage of these huge swings in the price of Bitcoin as it's going up or going down. And you can do this, like over here on Binance Coin, you actually have where you can set the Bollinger Bands, and it tells you the range, the tops and the bottoms of the way that the price of Bitcoin is fluctuating. You can choose a different technical indicator, and it will show you that range. It has the top of the Bollinger Band, which is this purple line, and the bottom of that range. And usually Bitcoin bounces back and forth between the top and the bottom of that range. And so if you're wanting to even day trade, you can set a buy order at the bottom of that range, and then when it gets to the top of that range, sell. And so you can actually make that, that's like a 6% move or something. And so you can take advantage of that back and forth movement that Bitcoin has, because the price fluctuation is like a heartbeat. It's going up and down. It's pulsing between this range. And so for those that are watching Bitcoin and that become familiar with the indicators, I told you about let's go to the day chart. And the stochastic RSI and also the RSI. You can see that according to these two indicators on the daily chart, we were just at the bottom of the relative strength index, and that the momentum and the price is starting to move upward. And it's when we get up here on the RSI that one should be selling. And if you just watch these indicators, the stochastic RSI and also the RSI, when the RSI is at the bottom levels like here, that's when you want to be buying. And so we had right here when it reached 50,000, and this was on the 24th of March, 4 days ago, the relative strength index was at 30, which again is showing you that the market has bottomed and that the price should start to rise and should start to increase. and that's exactly what we're seeing. So you can learn to read the indicators, learn about these indicators. Even as I said, the crypto fear, the Bitcoin fear and greed index, which is right now at a 74, it's showing us that the momentum is starting to increase. And, of course, I told you should have been buying when the price was over here. Um, I, let's see what it was just 4 days ago. So on the 25th of March, the crypto fear and greed index was at a 60. And so you can see, that's again corresponding to the bottom of the market where the RSI here on the Binance chart, the RSI was right here, and that the price has started to elevate from that point. And so just learning these indicators, you can gauge when you should be getting into the market and when you should be getting out. And we are now on the momentum moving upward, and that corresponds with, again, the price of Bitcoin over April, that it usually has a really good move upward. And so 3 days ago on the 24th would have been the best time to enter the market. But as I said, I think that the trend and the move from this point will be to the upside. Any other questions, Justin?
All right, that was the end of the presentation.
Yes, I just wanted, again, to show people, and those especially that only have Coinbase, how to set your buy and your sell orders, to use a limit order to get in, and set these orders while you're asleep. Just set them to execute whenever it hits that point, because a lot of times Bitcoin will fluctuate $6,000 in one day, with a whale selling a huge amount or buying a huge amount. And so just like right here, this huge candle upward, this is when Elon Musk bought. And that's, and he sent the price of Bitcoin with his huge purchase order from that point up to that point, which is, again, $6,000. And so, and then we had over here somebody selling a huge amount from 56, and it went all the way down to 51. So, again, those are huge candles, and Bitcoin can move very quickly in a short amount of time. But yes, that's all I needed to show people.
All right, awesome. We did have a question from Doc Michael. What's the difference with a stable coin growth rate and volatility versus most other dynamic crypto tokens?
Good question. And let's go to this chart here. I do recommend people familiarize themselves with this particular website, CoinMarketCap. It shows you the total market cap of the entire cryptocurrency market, which is 1,752,000,000,000 right now. It also tells you Bitcoin dominance, which Bitcoin dominance often lets you know that when there's a lower dominance, that means that the altcoins will usually gain in price, because the traders, those that are deeply involved in this market, they usually move their money into Bitcoin when Bitcoin is moving up in price, like it's doing now, and then the dominance increases, like it shows you. Whenever when Bitcoin dominance drops down here, the altcoins are gaining in value, and that there's great profitability in other coins. But as Bitcoin starts to rise in dominance, it's usually the price of Bitcoin that is moving, And even though it carries all the other coins upward with it, it's the one that has the most gains. And so right now we've come down from 69% to 60%. And it's because of that we've seen an upward spike in the value of the other coins. And it also shows you the ETH dominance. But as far as stable coins, this chart and CoinMarketCap will show you the increase and the decrease of the value of each one of these coins over a 7-day and a 24-hour period, which shows you their momentum. But the stable coins, they always stay pegged to $1, which is why you're able to, for instance, if you sell Bitcoin and go into this US dollar DT, if you sell it at 60,000 and you sell one whole Bitcoin, you're going to have $60,000 in US dollar tether. If the price of Bitcoin drops down to 55,000, you're still going to have 60,000 in this stable coin, US dollar tether. So that if you were to use that $60,000 of your US dollar tether and to buy Bitcoin when it's 55,000, you'll increase, that $5,000. That will be your gain, your percentage of gain in Bitcoin because of you holding the stable coin. And US dollar tether is one of them. This US dollar coin is another stable coin. And then you have Binance US dollar. That's also a stable coin, and it's pegged to $1, like the dollar, and this one also DAI. So these four coins are pegged to the dollar. And if you were to sell, in making your trade, if you were to buy or sell and to move into any of these stable coins, it will hold the value of whatever you sold at that particular rate. So that if the market goes down and you use those stable coins to purchase back into a coin, you're going to gain however much of a percentage the market dipped from where you sold. And so that's a great way, as I showed you here with with Coinbase Pro or with Binance, you can do the same thing. You can set an order to purchase or sell depending on whatever level Bitcoin gets to. And in that way you can gain, increase your amount and your percentage of Bitcoin holding. You can also, a lot of times you can trade most cryptos in Bitcoin instead of US dollar tether. And the reason you would want to do that is because if, for instance, you are like, I'll show you one thing that I did just recently. You see here that the price of Binance coin increased on Bitcoin. Well, you can swap your Bitcoin for Binance coin and take advantage of when it rises. And then instead of going into the US dollar tether, if the market goes down, that you're actually holding a crypto that could still increase as the market rises. And so you won't lose any value. Whereas if you were to go, instead of trading your Binance coin for Bitcoin, you were to trade your Binance coin for US dollar tether, then if the market goes up, you're still losing that amount of percentage. And so most cryptos are paired with Bitcoin and even with Ethereum. And so when the market is in a bull trend and moving upward, you always want to trade for either Bitcoin or Ethereum because they will also increase in value as the market rises. But if you feel that the market is going to go down, you want to trade in the stable coins so that you can hold your value. And then once the market goes down, you can get back in and you can increase your percentage of Bitcoin or whatever crypto it is you're trading at that time. Other questions?
Awesome. We had another question from Shay that says, any opinions on when the dollar will fall?
Well, I think that the value of the dollar is dropping even right now because of the amount of printing that is happening. However, the dollar, because a lot of other currencies are also being devalued, and because they are not the world reserve currency, they are actually falling to the price of the dollar, and the dollar has actually been gaining. Like if you look at the chart for DXY, which is the dollar, you'll see that it's been increasing lately, and that is again because a lot of people, and the dollar is still basically the world's reserve currency. More nations use and depend on and actually believe in the dollar when it's nothing but paper. Um, but they do believe in the dollar and that it's supported by our economy and by the goodwill and faith of the American people. Um, that the dollar still has value around the world and is used in many economies in the world rather than, like in Venezuela or in Zimbabwe or these other countries where their currencies have collapsed and that people would prefer to use either dollars or Bitcoin if available. And again, most of the people don't know how to buy cryptocurrencies. And for those individuals, they are utilizing the um, the dollar, and for whatever reason, it still is holding strength right now, and has been gaining strength. But it's just a matter of time, because if you look at our debt, 20, what is $8 trillion in debt, nearing 30 trillion, if we haven't already gone over that. There's no way we're going to be able to pay back that amount of debt as a nation. And so it's just a matter of time before the dollar and the United States as a corporation, as a business, uh, collapses and has to be restructured. And, I think that that's part of the whole global reset that has been planned for and that has been talked about. The whole Nasera and Jacera, part of that New Age plan, the National Economic, whatever it's called. And so this has been something that has been planned for a very long time. And the collapse of the current financial institutions and the monetary system as it is, all that is going to lead to the coming of the Antichrist, the reign of the Antichrist, and the establishment of the New World Order, and this particular mark of the beast system, which will control buying and selling and dictate whether people are even able to purchase commodities from the economic system that is reigning and implemented at that time. That this is where it's all leading to, and so, but it's on purpose. I
Hey,
think we have.
it's been an awesome show. If you want to go ahead and close
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I just want to thank everybody. And I know that this class, we should have, put out posts and notifications to let everybody know earlier beforehand, and we will do that in the upcoming episodes. But please do, if you have questions about the markets or anything, send them in to us and let us know so that we can share them with the rest of you. But I do want to just thank you again for joining us, and I just pray that all of you, if you are hesitant, if you're uncertain of cryptocurrencies and the crypto markets, to open yourself in prayer. Go before the Most High. Ask Him, whether this is something that could benefit you. Because I believe it is. And what we are doing is part of the whole thing of trying to teach a man, a woman, a family to be able to fish, to be able to provide for themselves, and to take advantage of the tools that are there and established by the New World Order for, people that can use their wealth to benefit them. And that this particular blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin, in my opinion, is outside of the control of the central banks. And it puts the power of money and the ability to invest into the hands of the people and is decentralized. And I think that is an incredible way to kind of smug off the central banks and the dollar and the use of the dollar, and being forced to only utilize the currencies that governments issue, and which we know is a Ponzi scheme, because the dollar is the currency of the New World Order, and they are loaning it to our governments at interest. And because of that, we as a people under this economic system have been forced to utilize the dollar in our supply and demand and our exchange. And we don't have to do that anymore. We can look to other digital assets, cryptocurrencies, which are decentralized and not controlled by governments or the New World Order, to increase and to hold as a store of value, but also to benefit us in earning interest on the money that we do have and that we do save. And so I just pray that the Most High bless all of you out there. I hope you had a great Passover, that you celebrated and honored Yeshua in the sacrifice that He made for all of us. Without a doubt, the work that we do, everything that we, as far as serving the kingdom, our whole focus is to bring you to that realization that salvation is through Christ, and that He, as King, Lord, Savior, and Messiah, that He's coming again to set this world straight and to pull us out of all this insanity and to restore to us a way of being which is not dictated or tied to economics and to, a few having and the rest suffering and being at the mercy and the control of those few. So, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, be blessed.